Fabulous. Okay. So I wanted to clarify a few things because the messages that I'm getting through from people, they're not understanding how the program works and what the total cost is and those kinds of things. So I thought I'd run through that with you to clarify that. Now, the first part, which is the non-negotiable part, that is the BAS Agent Supervision Program. So that is literally I've got a circle program set up. And so I release bits and pieces all the time. So if you have a look here, there's 51 lessons in there at the moment, a few that I'm going to remove, a few that I'm going to add in there. So it just goes through, understanding the basics of your debits and credits, your understanding of financial reports, different types of entities and must-dos. And then we go, a further deeper understanding of GST and, what errors you'll find and reviewing them and fixing them and those kind of things. So I'm still working on some of that. And then we go into account reconciliation. So we really dive into, how we do it in the real world, because honestly, Cert 4 does not cover as much as it should. So we go through all those account reconciliations, the daily bookkeeping tasks, and how you do those as well. So as I said, I'm still building it out. So it'll come out as the 12 months progresses. The client management and task prioritization. So understanding what comes first, what you need to prioritize first and going forward. Your time management, client management, especially when you start to get more clients on board. And then we go through the best practice processes for debtors and creditors, the difference between a spend money, receive money versus using the bills and using the invoices, those type of things. We go into loan and clearing accounts and factoring accounts. Now, a lot of people don't know how to use it, the clearing or the factoring account. Factoring is when you send all your sales invoices to a company. They pay you a percentage of those sales invoices, so you've got that cash flow coming in, and then they chase the debtors. Okay, so the people who owe you money, and then it goes to them, and then once they're all paid, then they'll pay you less a percentage for their fees, obviously. We go through rescue work, which I do a lot of. I still do a lot of. So we can get, dive into what you need to do, how you need to structure it, all the fees and those kind of things. All the end of financial year stuff, balancing to the balance sheet, end of financial year adjusting journals. The entire BAS process is in there as well. File setup, payroll setup, all important. And then we can go through, like, there'll be software training as well. So Mirror, Xero, Mild, QuickBooks, HubDoc. I'm also looking at Easy Business app as well, and a few others in there that I can use a training module to be able to train you on rather than using a live file. But ultimately, when you are doing your live active supervision, that's when other bits come into play, and one-on-one sessions. So that's the pre-supervision. So that basically covers off it's a 12-month payment plan of 125 a month. We do the Zoom sessions. So this month we're working on client onboarding, how to get those first clients and what do you do, as well as your GST and things like that. So we'll be covering off that in our first session, and you can join at any time, and these sessions will be recorded so that you can review them and go back to them. And and if you have any questions, that's what that time is designed for. So you will always have that Zoom session once a month to make sure that you're learning what I've already put out and answer any questions. And if you've got any questions about how you're currently running or what you're doing, you can certainly ask in those 1.5 hour sessions. Now, the active supervision. So this is where people get a bit confused. So the way that the active supervision works is that basically I work with you on one-on-one. Right, you book an hour session with me through Calendly, you pay for the 1 hour, for 110. Now, this does not mean that you have to have 1,000 of my hours paid. Okay. So the way that works is basically you do what you can for that client, right? And then you come back to me and we review the file, and then I can sign off on the hours that you've done for that client. So if you've done 5 hours for the client, I work with you for the 6th hour because we're working on the client file. So therefore you can charge the client for 6 hours. I sign you off for 6 hours. Okay, so the 110 may be 1 in every 10 hours of work that you actually do. The other, so first client meeting, I have to meet them. So I'm on a Zoom session with you. Doesn't matter where they are in Australia, it doesn't, that doesn't matter. I'm on that call with you because I have to do ID checks. I have to make sure that they sign our joint letter of engagement. And I have to make sure that they are the true director or the true owner of that business, all right? Because we've had a lot of fraud around that lately, and so I'm the one that's responsible for you. I'm the one that's responsible to make sure that those clients are true and correct. Now, they will come on to my BAS agent registration, so therefore, when the BAS is completed by you, I will send them the pre-lodgement. So that means the ATO pre-lodgement. So I put all the figures through and then I send it out to the client for signing and they pay me directly for that BAS lodgement. Okay. So, and that's 121, but that's a direct payment made by the client. There is quite a few things that I require from you. Now, I do have a document which I'll bring up in just a second. Just find it. I had it up a minute ago, and now of course I can't find it when I really want to. New client, no, not that one. I really go through a lot of information here. Here we go. Okay. So, I'm just going to share this screen now. Okay, so this is terms and conditions. So this is our agreement to say that I am supervising you, and these are my terms. Okay, so pre-supervision course is mandatory and it has to be finished before I will sign off any hours. All clients will remain under the mentored as clients. They are not my direct clients. Even though I'm supervising you, they are not my clients, they are your clients. All right, I don't want them. I've been there, I've done that for 15 years. I am happy for them to remain your client. Okay. The mentored must always have a valid PI insurance, and you must supply that to me. All right. I need to know that you're insured. The mentored must have the client sign the joint engagement letter that I provide. Right. And that clearly states that I am the registered BAS agent, but you are the bookkeeper. Okay, the supervisor must meet the client via Zoom or in person for identification checks. If I can do in person, I will, but I at least need a Zoom meeting. And I also have Anacha, which is a program to do an ID check on your client. So that also must be adhered to. The mentor must ensure the client signs up to the agent linking in the ATO to me. Okay, so they go under my BAS agent number. The mentor must advise the supervisor of any issues immediately in writing in an email. So if there is any issue with your client at all, any concerns, any worries, anything, that is what I'm here for. I'm here to support you. I'm here to guide you. And that's what I want to do. So if you are having any issues, I'm happy to do a 15-minute free call if that's all it's going to take, right? So I'm not going to charge you for every single minute if it's only going to take us 5 minutes and I've got the time to do so. The mentor must be responsible for their own cybersecurity, their own subscriptions, their own equipment, and anything else they need to run their own business. The mentor must track their time in Clockify and supply regular reports to me because I need to make sure that you're doing those hours. I also need to make sure that, you know, we can track your hours so we can go, right, you're coming up to 1,000 hours. Awesome. Okay, let's move forward with, you know, next steps. Let's get you ready to get registered. So it's a great idea for us to keep track of tasks as well as hours. Okay, because it also helps us with with the tax practitioners board to be able to go, right, these are all your hours and this is what you've been doing. So the mentored must ensure all due diligence and code of conduct is followed at all times as per the TPB board. Okay. I take no responsibility for the mentored if the mentor does not follow my processes or guidance. Okay, I'm not responsible if you guys don't take my advice. If you don't, you know, that'll come under your insurance. So yeah, be aware that, you know, if you're going to go off course, then I'm going to cut ties with you straight away. The mentored will be signed off for their 1,000 hours once they've completed the pre-supervision course and they've demonstrated they are fully capable of becoming a registered BAS agent. Now, this is demonstrated through using the correct processes and guidelines as I lay out, and the hours are verified through Clockify. So I'm not going to turn around, you know, once you've got the 1,000 hours and go, no, I just don't think you're ready, because I wouldn't have done my job of mentoring you correctly if that's the case. We get to 1,000 hours and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh no, you haven't quite got it. No, I would pull you up in the first 100 or the first 200 hours and go, hey, you're not following the processes. We have to keep moving here. Right. So I really want you guys to step up and go, right, I'm going to put it in that. I'm going to put in 100% and do the right thing, follow the rules, you know, and I will be here to support you and guide you all the way through to your full registration. Sorry, I had a light in here and it's not working now, so I'm just going to go turn one on. So that's the so I know that we've got a few people entering late, which is fine. That's no problem. So these are the rules that I expect you to follow. And it's not only to protect my BAS agent registration, it's also to protect you. As I said, all clients remain yours. They're not mine. And yeah, so, and you just pay for the hours that you utilize me. Now, majority of the time that will be at BAS time. You'll need an hour or 2 hours, depending on how many clients you have. But we're working on your client file, so you can generally invoice that out to the client. So you're not really out of pocket that much. And also, you know, in the beginning, we will need a bit more time together, especially if we're troubleshooting or you're learning a new program or you're needing to get some information or you're not quite sure how to onboard a client or you're not quite sure about how to, you know, work through whatever the client needs. So I've done a few, I've got a couple on already on the program. And we've done multiple phone calls and, you know, chats and all sorts of things. And we've actually gone through the process for 3 clients so far. You know, and I'm still working that out. You know, I'm still working on that. So bear with me. Yes, you can do the pre-supervision and active supervision at the same time. Absolutely. I don't have a problem with that. As long as you're learning and as long as you're putting things in place. And, you know, and you're getting clients along the way, that's great. So just remember when we first do our first client meeting, you know, you're going to have to, if it's only a half an hour meeting, which it's usually about half an hour, I don't need to charge for that. But if it's going to be reviewing the work, then yes, I will need to charge. You know, that will be the 110 for the hour. Now, as I said, I use Mild, QBO, Easy Business Apps, Zero. I use all of them. So, you know, if you get stuck anywhere or you don't know a program and a client's asked you, can you take me on? I'm happy to teach you as we go. It's a good learning experience, and I've actually got one that's going to take on a 2-year fix up. So I'm happy to dive in wherever you are at the moment, and I'm happy to teach you along the way if that's what's required. Just remember that if you need that extra level of support, then it is going to cost you that extra 110 for the hour. But bring all your questions together, because I pack as much into that hour as possible. Mark, you would know how much I try and jam into an hour. um, from our many, many conversations. But yeah, I try and resolve as many problems as possible. And if you pay for that hour and we only use half an hour, then you've got half an hour in the bank for later. Okay, so I'm not expecting you to use up the whole hour if you don't have enough information or you don't have enough to move forward with that hour. And often, I will say, okay, well, you need to get X, Y, Z, and then come back to me, and then we can resolve whatever the problem is. Now, the other thing that I should put in here, actually, because I have not put that in here, and I do apologize, is I need to have access to all of your clients' software. Now, that is because I need to go in there and check that you're doing the right thing, and because I'm also on the engagement letter. Okay, so I will need access to whichever program your client is using, so I can just make sure that everything's being done correctly. Now, I probably won't be in there every day. That's highly unlikely because I get really busy, but I will be, in there every couple of weeks and just making sure that the GST is going well, the payroll's going well, and I have no questions. I'm not going to charge you for that either. I'm just going to duck in and just make sure that everything's above board. I'm just going to add that one before I forget. Have access. Okay. All right. So, questions, please. Anyone, jump off mute and ask a question. As you get further along in mentoring, you'll barely need me, and you'll only need me for an hour a quarter because we'll just be doing BAS. So, which is good. That's where I want you. That's where I want you, working independently, getting all the work done, and then I'll come in and just make sure that everything's correct, sign off on the BAS, and off it goes. So does anyone have any questions about this stuff? Does it make sense? Did I make sense? It's getting a little late in the evening for me.
It does make sense, Kel.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
And I do agree with your comment about the like fitting so much into meetings.
Yeah. I do try and cover a lot, don't I?
Yeah, but that's a good thing a lot of the time. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't think there's any thing from what I've got written down and what you've mentioned in terms of question. I guess the only one that's more a comment is what from the point of view of the insurance, the professional indemnity insurance is, because I know some bookkeepers have it, some bookkeepers don't. Obviously, the non-BAS agent, if you're a BAS agent, then you have to have it. That's, as I understand, mandatory. But like someone like us having it when you've got it, what's the logic there?
So if
I'm
you
just trying to figure
purposely
that out.
do
That's all.
something that's against the law, so if you purposely defraud the company or you purposely do something that is out of my control,
Oh, okay. Yeah.
then you are liable.
Yeah.
But if I lodge an incorrect BAS, or if I, purposely leave off figures or anything like that from the actual BAS lodgement, then I'm the one in trouble. And if you do something that I've told you to do, then I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
Right? But you still need to have that insurance, just for that personal legality. And plus, once you become a registered BAS agent, you'll need to have that anyway. So, but it's just depending on what it will cover versus, as a bookkeeper under supervision, pretty much the same as being a BAS agent, really.
Yeah, yeah, no, that makes sense. I was just trying to work out where that sort of fit into the picture of everything.
Yeah, and I mean, you would have a copy of this as well, because when the TPB asks for confirmation that I've been supervising you, these are the kind of things that you're going to need to show them, along with, all of the receipts that you've paid for your 110 for your active hours. So we've got to be able to show them this, the Clockify, as well as all of the engagement letters, those kind of things. So you really need to keep a good record for the tax practitioners board as well. So we can go through all of that. Um, yeah, I mean, the next steps are you sign up for the pre-supervision course. And if you say email me and go, Cal, I've got a client, can we meet on this date? When are you free? We can do a Zoom session with the new client. And if they say, yes, I would love to join you, then I send you this and you sign it and send it back. And then we start with the whole engagement process and the client onboarding. So I don't have a
Yeah,
limit at the moment. So I've only got 3 signed up at the moment. And honestly, it doesn't take a lot of time because you guys are doing most of the work in the background. So you're coming to me when you need me, and I'm relatively flexible in that respect. And I can do after hours if need be. I can do a weekend if need be. So don't be afraid to say, hey, can we connect over a weekend or whatever.
yeah, yeah. How do you how have you found it? Because obviously there'll be some of the clients that don't like the idea of having another person involved. Have you come across that? What's the feedback on that one?
Not yet.
Not
Not yet.
yet.
I mean, they've been approached by you guys already and understand that, you need supervision in order to get your BAS agent registration. And if they're okay with that, then they don't mind me being here, and they can contact me at any time if they have any questions or if there's a problem, right? And then you and I would sit down. I go, okay, your client has messaged me to say that they've got this problem, and we need to resolve it. And that's where we work together to try and resolve the issue, and then work with the client to resolve the issue. So they only ring me or contact me to sign off the BAS, and if they've got any problems, they will contact me directly, but they will always have access to me. But as I said, I don't want the clients. That is,
Yeah,
yeah, not me.
yeah. I just wondering, given that there's obviously going to be a third party involved, whether that has posed any sort of issues in terms of like
Not
them
yet.
not wanting.
Not
Yeah.
yet.
Oh, that's cool.
Everybody's been cool. So,
Yeah.
and they understand that I'm going to be 100% involved behind the scenes,
Yeah.
with whoever I'm mentoring. So, they're okay with that so far.
Yeah.
Um,
That's cool.
yeah. So we're getting there. It's a new program. I mean, I've been training people for years and years and years and signing off on their hours for years and years and years. All of my staff that I've had, all, gosh, 6, 7 of them. Yeah, all 7 of them came up in training with me, and now they're all registered BAS agents and off doing their own thing or working for bigger firms, or so it's good to see, but I have been doing this for a very long time. Is it possible to pay the amount upfront? Uh, yes, I can create an upfront amount. I can do that. I will do that later on today. So there will be a link available to do that if you'd like to. So if you want to purchase multiple sessions at a time, I think you can for the one-on-one mentoring as well. But I will put that option up for you to pay for the pre-supervision course in one hit. Oh, how many BAS agents have I signed off for? Oh, okay. Hang on. So there's my staff that I did, and then there's Um, been doing this for a while, so probably about 20 people I think I've signed off over the years. We just got an information back. I wasn't sure when I started this whether I should be charging the client directly for BAS, but when oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, John, that you've lost all audio. That's no good. When I've got hopefully you can see the recording. Um, yeah, when I got some information back from the TPB, it was basically asking if I was charging for the BAS lodgement itself. So, and that's what I've decided to go ahead and do. So, I'm assuming I'm running by their rules, but they're not very clear on this area. So, that's why I said I will charge your client direct for the BAS lodgement, but you're doing all the work. So the process to join, I don't get you the clients. Okay, you need to get your own clients. Now, I'm happy to do a 15-minute with you and go over how you do that. It's just a case of getting out there and saying, yes, I'm available. Yes, start networking and getting together. Yay for audio. Good job, John. Yeah, so the process is basically you need to sign up for my pre-supervision program. You need to gain a client. Now, as I said, I need to do the first meeting with you. Like you can approach them, have that conversation. If they're going, okay, yes, I'd like to go ahead, that's when you invite me in for the conversation. And that's when we sign up everything. Do this process work as an employee as well as a contractor. Um, Yes, I can do it if you're an employer, but your boss has to go okay for that because, I'm looking at their books and it's, if they're an employer, then you're not a contractor. So it kind of muddies the waters a bit because your employer can actually sign off for you. Um, but yeah, so the process is to gain that first client, um, and then we can jump on board and go forward with this. So yeah, it's just about getting that first client and networking and gathering, working together and getting there.
And Kelly, for transparency purposes,
Yep.
what would you advertise? Like you'd advertise yourself as a bookkeeper and then training to be a BAS agent? Is that how you?
Yes. So I would state very clearly
Mm,
bookkeeper under supervision by Kelly, BAS agent number XYZ.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. And
Yeah.
then with the professional, the indemnity insurance, there's different values, obviously, that you can insure under. Do you have any recommendations, or is that something you discuss later?
Yeah, that's something we can discuss later. So there
Mhm.
are definitely options available.
And then obviously we have to be a member of a voting. Would you
You
recommend any?
you do. And that comes when you've got your 1,000 hours. Although I do recommend, joining before then because they've got some wonderful templates.
There's a fair few options with regards to that. Is there any that you would recommend or?
I would recommend when you're starting out either ICB or ABN.
Yeah.
Both are fantastic.
Okay,
I
cool.
I don't recommend going to CA or CPA or anything like that because they're not really a bookkeeping firm.
Yeah.
So yeah.
ABN.
Yes, ABN is definitely a membership well spent, and
Yeah,
I
I
can't
think
wait to go to the
ICB was
conference in
quite
October.
the rate was quite a bit higher as well, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it is a little. I mean, they're all raising their prices, so it's kind of a given. But I mean, you don't need to do that immediately, but I do recommend as you grow, it is definitely worth the investment
Okay,
and to
cool.
come along to the conference.
Awesome.
Yes,
Thank you.
they have a good CPE tracker too. They're really good. Okay, so okay, if the client wants to submit their own BAS, absolutely fine. We can still do the process in the background, when we're doing our one-on-one session, and and then the client can lodge. That's absolutely fine. I don't charge the client. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, my mom's just asking me where we're going out for dinner. That's okay. I'll meet them down there. Yeah, ICB and ABN, they're much of a muchness, but it depends on what your needs are. ICB is a little bit more structured. ABN's a bit more fun. But they both have similar resources. So it really depends on what you want to do in that respect. But I definitely highly recommend the ABN conference, which is in October. I'm going to be at that and I can't wait. It's my first one actually, and I keep getting told that I have to be there. I have to get to one. So this is my first year. I'm looking forward to it. All right. Do we have any other questions coming through?
Cal, just one more.
Yeah, shoot.
In relation to the previous question about clients lodging themselves. So what if, for example, if the client decides to lodge it themselves, because my understanding is that's as a non-VAS agent, that's a no-go.
Yeah, look, the clients
from our side.
The clients are going to lodge themselves. That's absolutely fine. But what I'm here to supervise you and make sure that you're doing is that everything's correct in the file for them to lodge. It is completely in their rights to lodge it on their own. But I'm here to make sure that the information in the file is true and correct. And that's what you're here for as well, to make sure the information is true and correct so that what they're lodging is accurate. But you're not giving them advice, you're not doing the preliminary process of reconciling, you're not the one doing all the figures for the BAS necessarily, but you are balancing to the balance sheet, so you're going to figure out whether they've stuffed up on lodging their BAS or not.
Yeah, so if we do all the work,
yes,
and then they lodge,
yep,
then
it's still all counted towards your hours.
No, I'm thinking more from the point of view, because my understanding of it, correct me if I'm wrong here, in regards to the TPB rules, is that like if we give the clients the figures to lodge, then we're in the wrong.
Correct.
But if it goes through.
If you are not supervised, yes. If you give those figures and you're not supervised and you're advising them on the BAS, then that is illegal. But if you are under supervision and you're giving them the figures, then, because we are reconciling everything and making sure that all the information is true and correct, then therefore the lodgement should be true and correct. So there's no issue there.
Yeah, which means that if the client decides to lodge it, then that's then every party is in the, provided it's done correctly, that every party is in the is in the right.
Yes, that's right. If you're under supervision, yes.
No, cool. Because I know that one's come up before with me, and I'm just want to make sure that I've got my understanding of it correct.
Yeah, so if you're under supervision, there's no issue with them lodging the BAS and you giving them the figures, because we're making sure that all figures are true and correct, and you're under my supervision, and that's something that we will check. Even if we're not lodging the BAS, even if I'm not lodging the BAS, that is something that we will always check. So, you will be having those quarterly meetings with me, regardless of whether they're lodging the BAS or I'm lodging the BAS.
Yep. No, that's cool.
Yep. Okay, hang on. Okay, is there recommended institute to get the Cert 4 revision? When it comes to Cert 4, I've been recommending Monarch has been the better one. And Swinburne Online is apparently a really popular one. So I don't know if that is the case. I went through Swinburne for my MBA and they were really good. So I'm assuming they're good for the Cert 4 that's just come out. Or I think it's 12 months or 18 months revision. The tech stack, you don't need any tech stack necessarily to begin with, but we will go through all of that as well. And most of it's free. I don't get you to buy anything unless it's absolutely necessary. Clockify is free. I tend to use Trello, ClickUp, or Monday.com for my workflow management, and they're all free as well. So I do, you know, all my recommendations are cost effective for you, and I try and keep it as simple as possible. How do I revise all the work? I'll jump in and do spot checks every now and again, and you know, and that's me reviewing the GST reports and how you're coding things. And that is me going through the payrolls just to make sure that everything is above board, including the way it's set up and all those type of things. Because a lot of clients set it up and then it's like, oh no, they've done it wrong. So we'll go through all that when we start working together. We'll go through the client's work. As I said, you'll need more time with me at the beginning until you've got your processes in place, which I will help you with. And then we just kind of work from there. So once you're 500 hours in, you'll barely see me because you probably won't need me, really, except for the whole lodging BAS. Yes, it does give the client assurance that the BAS is correct. That's, you know, we're very big on that. So I'm very big on rules, and I'm very big on, you know, being fully transparent as well. Diploma through Monarch, and they were amazing. Thanks, Cheryl. Awesome. Good to know. Excellent. Some of those courses are terrible. Okay. Yep, beautiful. Enjoy the kids. All right, so I'm going to leave it there. And if you have any more questions, please do email me or, you know, send me a PM. I'm usually online like 100% of the time because I'm ADHD. So yes, I will be available most times. And most of my schedule is now just doing this stuff. So, you know, I'm relatively fluid and available most times. So, you know, don't be afraid to reach out. All right, so I will stop there and I will do the recording and I will send it out for I'll put it up in the groups and tag everybody so that you've got an opportunity to have a look at it again. Otherwise, get in touch, email, PM, whatever, if you'd like to sign up and yeah, start by the pre-supervision program. You're most welcome. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Good to talk to you. Thanks, John. I'll talk to you soon.